Meeks, are you gonna do introduction or should I? Or there is no introduction. We just jump
There's
straight
no
in. What?
introduction. We just jump straight in.
Yeah.
Okay, so Kalden, please will you tell us about your professional background?
My professional background, as in like career-wise.
Yes.
Okay, so since I left high school, I have been working as a software engineer and studying at the same time. I'm going on to my fourth year of studying now. That's basically my professional career as it is. So I suppose it's not really relevant in this case, but I've also been an enthusiast photographer for about the past year and a half. I have always had an interest in digital media along that, regarding video and photo. Um, Videography has always been a very big interest that I've had, and I have being able to explore it has been somewhat limiting regarding how, obviously the feasibility of equipment and whatnot. But I've spent quite a lot of time growing up, how can I say, like, editing like YouTube videos and trying to make YouTube channels. And I was heavily involved in the streaming industry at one stage as well, the YouTube streaming side of things. So I think it's safe to say I have quite a all-rounded experience regarding the how can I say the concept and the theory of it, and I have quite a lot of practical experience in the editing side, and now I'm just adapting my photography to videography and combining it all to really sort of explore my passion.
Yeah, dude, that is so sick. Especially the part where straight from high school, dude, and you jump straight into something that you're actually passionate about. And I even remember yesterday when we had a conversation about you getting like 4 distinctions. Shout out to you. And, it just pretty much gets me stoked, the fact that you're so good at what you do, on the theory side of things as well. Which leads me to the question, what is your role when we're now focusing on Sludge Underground? Obviously, you recently come on board. Shout out to Marcel for setting this up as well. And obviously in 2021, you guys, you have quite a bit lined up in terms of the visual side of things. So what is it exactly that, that Kalden is going to be bringing to, Sludge Underground?
Yeah, so for the most part, I'm obviously just assisting and sort of co-heading up the videography side of the video content side of Sludge Underground alongside Marcel. So I'm bringing in all the technical expertise and experience. Marcel is obviously the main content generator himself. But yeah, so he and I are going to be working together, and we're going to be producing a lot more video content. I'm also just there to help sort of direct the scenes, setting it up, obviously lighting and whatnot, the equipment, editing, obviously the whole sort of collection of it. And alongside that, we are also obviously going to be bringing some ideas on future endeavors to take with videography. I'd like to at some point, introduce, how can I say, full videos of the podcast themselves with, really aesthetic setup, and just to really, really improve the quality of for like the video content itself. I'm going to try and improve the quality using my technical experience and expertise, to try and improve the quality of any other aspect of Sludge that I'm able to, anywhere I can sort of contribute some value, I'm going to be dipping my hands into.
Dude, like I for one am super stoked for that, and I'm pretty sure that anyone else who's listening to this is super stoked, considering the fact that people have been, on our cases on some, yo guys, do visuals, and I'm just glad that I feel like everything is sort of lined up perfectly, because you don't just want to give everyone something half-assed that's just not really up to standard. And I honestly believe that with what you're bringing in, we're gonna be coming through with that like dope ass quality. So shout out to you, dude. And yeah, Meeks.
Please will you tell us the story of how you met Marcel?
Oh, I met Marcel. Okay. That's actually a somewhat interesting one. So this was about, I think it was about this time No, it wasn't this time last year. It was this time 2 years ago. So I think it was 2018, and I I was hanging out with one of my friends, and she invited me to go with her to the Winston to actually watch. There's like an event going on, a concert, and there's obviously some band members playing. But she invited me to go along and watch because one of her friends, being Marcel, was actually performing. And I was like, cool. I'm super keen for that. So I went along with, and um, it was a lot of fun. It was not my kind of music at all, um, but regardless, it was still really amazing. I still have an appreciation for almost every kind of genre of music there is. Um, and yeah, so after the show, we all sat down at the same table, obviously, and we were just chatting, and that's when I officially met him. But it wasn't until about a year later that I actually became, like really good friends with him. When my girlfriend, who just incidentally happened to be friends with him through it's the bank that he works at. My girlfriend's mother was one of his clients, and like yeah, there's a lot of personal details to that. But yeah, so long story short, she ended up meeting him through her mother, and then she said to me like, "Hey, like her friend Marcel plays the guitar, and like he's off. Like, can you come over and just jam some guitar at our house?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I already known that I had met him before, so I kind of had a sort of, how can I say, like a pre anticipation of who he is. So he came over and he just started jamming his guitar, and I just sat there and I literally just grabbed my camera, I set it up to record. He was just jamming his guitar, and I basically, like, it was like a little mini interview session where we were just chatting about like real deep sort of life things, and it was really sick. I'm pretty sure I still have the video lying around somewhere. It was a very, like, how can I say, improvised and unofficial sort of thing, but it was really dope. And then ever since then, yeah, he and I have just been, becoming really really close friends.
Yeah, that is solid. And like I think the first time that I met you, I gotta give props to your girlfriend because she makes one mean cake, dude. I think it was a Moscow birthday, and I'll never forget how that cake tastes, my dude. So shout out to your girlfriend for that one.
Yeah, I'll pass on the message. She does make some really good cake. I remember she was so excited to make that cake as well because it was like the trouble we went through to make that cake, you would not believe. Like, it's definitely a story for another day, but yeah, that cake will go down in history, to say the least.
Definitely gonna have a chat about that cake, bro. Just jumping
Yeah,
into.
please remind me.
Yeah, definitely, man. So what's your relationship with music like? This is something we actually touched on as well a bit in our previous meeting. But yeah, just for anyone who's listening and this is sort of their first interaction with you. Yeah, what's your relationship with music like?
Yeah, so I think joining this group, I think my relationship with music is very different to everyone else involved in this group, which I think is going to actually be very interesting for a learner's, the listener's perspective. So basically, I have never once played an instrument. Okay, I played recorder back in like grade 4 or whatever, but I mean, I don't. That doesn't really count. Um, so yeah, I'm basically like your average, you know, layman user, just a normal person out there when it comes to music. With that being said, though, I have listened to a massive variety of genres. I have gone through so many different ones, some very contradictory to each other. I think I have probably changed genres of music twice as much as a normal person would in their entire life. Um, I have an appreciation for any kind of music, especially when it comes to lyrics. I'm a big sort of lyrical fanatic. I pay a lot of attention to the words and the songs and the meanings behind them. But yeah, I mean, with that though, with that being said, music as a form of art, I am very, very involved in artistic ways and other ways, shapes, and forms. Um, I believe that art in itself, so the sort of the idea or ideology of it, and how it applies to all the different variants of art. Um, I have a very big sort of passion about that, and music has always been one that I have wanted to explore. I just haven't necessarily had the opportunity to, and I would very much like to in the future. Go down the road of properly learning uh, the piano. I think is a big one as well. I have a quite a big appreciation for your classical piano. So I think that's maybe the first thing I'd like to learn. Um, but yeah, other than that, my relationship with music is very similar to what a normal user would be, with maybe just a little bit of a different perspective on it, though.
It's really good to hear that you have like music has a significant place in your creative sphere. Like it's good to hear that it almost spills into other parts of creativity, because that's at the end of the day is like kind of like a musician's mission, is to spill into other areas,
Yeah,
So I find that beautiful. Yeah.
no, definitely. And just if there's one thing I can add to that as well, I think I'm the kind of person where if I'm not listening to music at a point in time, which in all honesty I listen to music probably 8 hours of my day, but if I'm not listening to music, I always have some music going on in my head, and my choice of music at a particular time largely depends on my mood and how I'm feeling. So for me, it's very, how can I say, connected to my psychology and my emotions. Um, I really really feel my music more than anything.
How do you discover new music?
Oh well, that I have a bit of a love-hate relationship when it comes to discovering new music. It's something that sometimes is really amazing to me, and sometimes it's really frustrating because like it's a mixture of, I'll play some song on YouTube, and after listening to music for 8 hours on YouTube, the feed somehow delves into a completely different genre, and it becomes something completely new to me, or even just different sections of songs in that same genre that I just never heard before, and I just start to pick up traction. So I think YouTube, just spending a couple hours listening to music on YouTube is definitely my more traditional way of discovering new music. Lately, I have been using Spotify a lot, and in particular the little Spotify radio podcasts that they put together. Um, I think sort of the branch of music that I'm listening to at this point in my life has been like revolving a lot around some music that I found on Spotify. Um, so yeah, I think those two are definitely my sort of number one, like my main areas where I find new music. Um, Other than that, it's also just a lot of friend recommendations and whatnot.
Yeah. Um, just going back to photography and videography, would you say that you shoot a certain type of photography? Like, are you into portraiture? Do you have a specific subject matter that you like to work with, or is it more of a everything and everything kind of? Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that's a very valid question. Um, I think a big thing when it comes to photography and photographers especially is when they start out, they're on a mission, whether they know it or not, to find their style. And it I started out wanting to try anything and everything. Um, but one thing I realized is I very quickly, no matter what subject I was shooting, whether it was a portrait of a person, or a close up of a bee on a flower, or even just an empty restaurant, I, all my pictures and my editing, it all had a very very similar feel and similar style. That's like one thing I started noticing. So I like to think of this as developing into what I can call my style. I don't really know. I don't really have any words to put onto it. Um, the closest sort of style that it represents is, or is similar to, is maybe fine art photography. Um, but yeah, when it comes to subject preference, I like to just shoot anything that I think is cool at that time. That's currently what I mostly do though, in terms of my like portfolio work. Otherwise, one thing I really would like to start exploring on my photography is a lot more portrait, and just photos of people and models, but with more, how can I say, expression to it. I'd like to do photos where there's a little bit more thought and effort gone into it, where the photo itself has sort of subliminal impressions and expressions to it. Makes you feel a certain way, or expresses how I'm feeling at the particular point in time, or how the subject is feeling. Just I'd like to do some photos with a little bit more. I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it, but if you get what I'm saying,
Like conceptual portraiture or
yeah,
conceptual
yeah,
photography rather than spontaneous or
yeah,
planned.
exactly.
You know.
But I mean, I've done it professionally as well. I've done paid shoots. I've done just going out into the wild, just on my own little journey, trying to take whatever photos I can. So I think it's safe to say I have quite a wider variety in terms of what I can, or what I've done, and my style sort of just naturally sort of came out.
Mm. So as a photographer, I mean, people often say that when you're in a professional, you have a certain expertise. You seem to spot that thing everywhere, or you can't go back to um, total viewership of it without having an expert eye on it. Like, do you look at maybe like an Instagram feed, and are you like constantly analyzing like frame or palette or grade, and you're just like, that edit is this, or that's a good this, or like, has it ruined something like that for you, or can you still sort of enjoy a normal home taken selfie,
I think I look. I'm definitely in the boat of I never see everything the same again. Like I look at a photo and I immediately start analyzing it and picking up on the editing style and trying to, sort of figure out what kind of lighting setup they used, or, like those things actually become apparent to me. I start to pick up and pay attention to those things. I don't just look at it and be like, oh, that's a cool picture anymore. Um, but I don't think I've ever had a situation where that was a bad thing for me, because I suppose I've spent a lot of time in my life making an effort to expand and improve my knowledge, and it's something that my whole choice of my career, doing software engineering, is because I grew up using computers a lot, and a lot of the time I'd look at software and I'd be like, I wonder how that works behind the scenes, sort of deal. And that also applied to a lot of things that um I'd watch a movie and I'd be like, I wonder how that works behind the scenes, and then I go and do research on how that works behind the scenes. And I've always made an effort to try and learn how everything works and try and get an understanding of how something works if I don't know, even to the point of astrology and physics. I even spent a lot of time reading science papers and research papers about that kind of stuff, just because I just always have this constant drive and like craving to understand, well, everything in life that I can get my hands on. And that's why I say music is definitely one thing that I've also had that same drive for. I've just, I can only do so much in life. So I I would like to, and I'm definitely going to at some point. I just, obviously, I have other things and other priorities in life at the moment.
And when we're looking at you as a photographer, man, and a videographer as well, what is your ideal setup? And specifically the equipment that you use, and why do you sort of trust that particular sort of brand or camera or setup?
Okay, so I mostly stick to Canon. Um, Not because I feel it's better than any other brand. I think every brand has its pros and its cons. I really like the Fuji brand. I really like the Sony brand, but I'm particularly stick with Canon because they do have the biggest market share when it comes to equipment, and for that reason, it's generally cheaper. There's a lot more support for it. There's just a lot more availability to it, and on top of that, Canon has also got very good. How can I say? Their raw color grading is very good. In regards to other cameras, at the moment I am using a DSLR. But that's mostly because growing up, DSLR was always like the fancy, you know, camera, the one that you want. However, now with the introduction of mirrorless cameras, it is starting to take over the market share, and it definitely does have uh, a lot, a lot more pros over DSLRs do. So I would at some point like to switch to a mirrorless. Definitely not opposed to it. However, I'm not too concerned. I'm happy with either or.
And when it obviously comes to, the final product that we are able to see, once you're done with the edits and all that, what's sort of your go-to software, and why that particular software as well?
Yeah, sure. So I mean, I mostly just stick to your classic Adobe suites. Your Photoshop, your Lightroom. I mostly stick with Lightroom for photography because, simply put, there is no better software out there. I have tried on many occasions to switch I mean, even just to a different operating system on my home computer, moving away from Windows. And I have never actually been able to, simply because Adobe is not supported anywhere else, and there are no alternatives to Lightroom that are equally as good. So, naturally, I just stuck with Lightroom, and as such, when it comes to video editing, I naturally just started using Premiere Pro. In addition to that, they're also the most popular out there. So when it comes to tutorials, there's just it's a lot easier to learn new things with those softwares. And obviously, with the age of the internet, it's where where I learn most of everything I know. I watch a lot of tutorials, and that's how I learn to do most of the things I know.
Hey, dude, that's very beautiful, man. I definitely share the same sentiments with the age of the internet and stuff. There's definitely a lot that you can pick up from these tutorials. So yeah, dude, they're very helpful, and I'm just glad that they've played a part, when it comes to you growing as well and doing what you do, and doing it as best as you can, man. So yeah, Meeks.
Yeah, same. It's so nice to speak to a fellow curious human.
Likewise.
Yeah. I'm wondering, is there any, I don't know, have you maybe imagined or already done this where your skills in photography and software can intersect? Is there any
Yeah,
endeavor going on?
I have had some ideas on how to combine them. I've always looked to try and figure out how I can combine, all my different interests and all my different hobbies and whatnot. Um, I suppose that's like I haven't really done much to actually put it into practice, so to say. I've just had sort of ideas here and there. Um, but yeah, other than that, there's not really much that I can say. I have I have done it more in terms of my software side of my life and videography, though. That I have definitely explored how I can combine the two, and that was uh, that was mostly regarding my um, how can I say the days where I spent a lot of time in the YouTube streaming industry. Is I actually spent a lot of time um, building and developing interfaces for live streamers, where it using software ties in with YouTube itself, where it could display the count of subscribers, or every time someone new subscribes, it displays a message on the stream. So, that's combining sort of the video aspect and the software aspect. Um, so yeah, like
So can't we get, oh my gosh, please can we get our own 24/7 Sludge Underground podcast beats lo-fi channel? What? Please. Please.
that is definitely something we can look into.
Please, that would be so dope. Like if you don't, I will.
That is definitely something we can look into.
Oh, it would be dope. Just chilling, just running on the YouTube channel. Like I'll do the cover art. It can be us at just like Lo-Fi Girl. Like, come on.
Yeah, we can do that. The biggest challenge is someone needs to go and find all the music.
Some clouds going by. I'll make beats, bro. I will make the beats. I will just beat after beat after beat after beat. I'll do it.
I like it's just coming together. You guys are both like you guys.
Nasiphi, you can make beats too. Come on, just 2-minuters, just candy snap 2-minuters.
You guys know me.
Just
I'm easy. You know, you guys.
sound trap.
You guys go. I'm there. I'm there if you guys are. 100%.
I'm doing this. I'm doing this, guys. It's fate now. It's fate.
Yeah. It's written in the
You have
stars.
spoken. It shall happen now.
Yeah. Like I think, you know, this is it definitely has, you know, shed a lot of light, you know, in terms of what you do and what you bring to the table. Like I keep saying, I'm super excited to be working with you, dude. It's such a privilege. So I gotta thank you as well for, you know, being keen on, you know, joining us in what we're trying to do. And I feel like we can learn a lot from you, dude. So yeah, super stoked to see how this is gonna go and how next year is gonna go. Before we run out of time, please share your handles, man. Where can people get in touch with you if they want to work?
Yeah, sure. So firstly, I'd just like to express my appreciation and say thank you for, you know, for the opportunity and for taking me on. It's honestly an honor to work alongside, you know, fellow passionate people. Like that's a big thing for me. I believe the world is made by passionate people. Everything important, everything good in this world is one way or another done by someone with passion, and it's just an honor to work with people who are so passionate about something that they have so much interest in. Regarding handles and whatnot, I have Instagram. It's just at Kalden Swart. That's KALDENSWART. One word, simple, straightforward. You can find me there. I don't really have anything else, to be honest. I'm not much of a social media person. Even my Instagram is mostly just my sort of semi-professional photography platform, you know, where I just post most of my photography stuff. And that's about it.
You and Meagan are in the same WhatsApp group, dude. Just Instagrammers. So shout out to you guys. Yeah.
I don't even spend a lot of time on there. I mainly just use it for exposure for my photography.
Yeah.
I see your Unsplash account. I'm gonna go look at it. I used to use the shit out of Unsplash.
Well. Most of the stuff on Unsplash is also just, you know, the same stuff that's on my Instagram, though.
Oh, okay. It looks dope though. It's very clean. Very nice.
Thank you.
Before we close out, Meeks, your handles, people can, if people want to.
We don't need my handles. This isn't about me.
Okay, guys. Then okay, tune into our show. It's obviously you can catch this on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify as well. We are Sludge Underground Podcast on social media, Instagram at Sludge Underground, Facebook at Sludge Underground. But yeah, guys, until next time, it's been we've been learning more about Kalden, and we're super stoked to have him on board. And yeah, like super stoked to see what the following year is going to bring us. Until next time, is bye for now.
Bye.